Hi everybody, how are you doing? I just got done doing some camera repair, and it was a tough one to fix. Let me put my tools away here. There we go. Nice DeWalt handsaw. Great for ripping cameras apart. Makes them easier to fix. Too over the top? Little? Maybe? Okay. Alright. Can't blame me if you don't have a sense of humor. Here we go. Here we have the X-T4 Fujifilm, mine. By the way, I had borrow in testing of the new X-T4 for basically right at a month, a couple months ago, and extremely familiar with the camera. I recommend everybody getting the external charger, the dual battery charger for the unit. It's actually quite nice. I do wish the X-T4 actually came with an external charger. That's actually the only downside that I could actually mention on the X-T4. Let's actually go over to the most important thing. Well, not the most important thing, the most obvious thing. I have in front of me the XH1 and of course the X-T3. I've owned all the X-T models. And I can state specifically, no real hyperbolic terms without whipping out the digital calipers, since all three of these are mine. I'm very familiar with the ergos of all three of these cameras, and that is, that the X-T4 ergonomics are exactly halfway, kind of like the child and offspring, right? Exactly halfway between that of the XH1 and that of the X-T3. As you can see, all three of these cameras have their vertical grips with them. I'm actually a huge fan of vertical grips. You may or may not be. Thankfully so with the X-T4, you don't need the vertical grip to get the advantages of the use of the camera. Unlike that of the X-T3 where you did to get the full functionality, the absolute maximum functionality out of the camera. And by the way, let me know if you have any questions. And in the link below, I have a free 200, did I mention it was free? However, donations are always greatly appreciated. Free 230-page book on tips and tricks on Fujifilm cameras, including a section on the X-T4 that I wrote specifically over top of that of the X-T3. If you're an XH1 or X-T3 owner, you're going to be incredibly familiar with it. There's not going to be anything, strange or bizarre about the X-T4 over that of the X-T3 or the XH1 that you have. You have double the autofocus tracking that of the X-T4. I've done a lot of extensive testing with the X-T4. Depending on the lenses, specific newer lenses with OIS, you have 6.5 stops of IVIS with a large array of Fujifilm lenses. That obviously doesn't include 6.5 stops with some of their older lenses, and also to their older lenses without OIS. You also, too, amazingly enough, have double the shutter mech life on the X-T4 over that of any other Fujifilm X series camera, X-T3, XH1, so on and so forth. So you actually have 300,000 clicks. Now you can easily go over that, like the rating on a Canon or a Nikon Pro DSLR. You can actually, and I've seen countless cameras, including my Nikon D4, one of my Nikon D4s, go well over that if you actually keep the camera clean and keep dust out of it. Actually, shutter mech failure 9 times out of 10 is due to dust or debris getting in there, and the high reciprocating values of the shutter blades encountering dust will actually cause warpage of the blades under high speed, which actually causes most shutter mech failure. But of course, everything does fail, but that's wonderful. It's double the shutter mech life. You have well over twice the video features of that of the X-T3. I don't pretend to be a video person. However, I've used the video features and been using the video features in the X-T4 extensively. I'm actually incredibly impressed with the fact that combined with the OIS on this camera and the fully articulating screen that I actually can flip forward, that I can actually use this and have used and post a video sample, use this camera for selfie videos without the need of a gimbal. One of the most amazing things that people don't talk about in the full reviews of the X-T4, especially for indoor quiet photography and wedding photography, is that, like the XH1, the the shutter mech has a 5-point spring suspension on the shutter mech, which really drastically quiets down the shutter sound. It's actually the quietest of any Fujifilm camera. It is really quiet. Let's talk about the one thing that people love to either complain about or they love. Everybody asked for it, but the articulating screen, let's just talk about the facts, and then we can talk about what people's feelings are on this. The articulating screen there's no screen that will move absolutely every way possible of all varieties of screen. It's physically frigging impossible. I mean, there actually has to be a video feed and power feed that feeds a display. So you can't make a screen that does absolutely every movement of every type of screen. So the articulating screen, the fully articulating screen on the X-T4 does delimit a few of the movements of the tilty flippy screen like found on that of the X-T3 or the XH1, such as the pull down for, doing head overs like that. You obviously can't do that with a fully articulating screen. So that is delimited. But the full functionality of the fully articulating screen allows a lot more options in the spectrum of what it's capable of doing. There's no such thing as a perfect display, so those people that, well, I can't do this with the X-T4 display, and, I can't do this number where, you get down low, and the answer, of course, is you're right. But there's, you can't have your cake and eat it too. There's never going to be that's just the limits of pure physics. It has nothing to do with Fujifilm. But a lot of people ask for the fully articulating display, and combined with the fact, obviously so and logically so, Fujifilm did this, combined with the fact of the greatly expanded video functionality of the X-T4. This is a better option to actually put on the camera. Additionally so, no one mentions this except for me, and that is the fact that this fully articulating screen, the type of feed system that actually feeds this display, both power and display, means that there's not a very fragile flexi-cable and a hole in the back plate of the magnesium chassis on the X-T4. This actually makes it far more weather resistant, because the main board on every damn camera is right behind the back display. And every camera, including Nikon and Sony and on and on, and Fujifilm, like on the X-T3 and the XH1 here, they have a hole. And yes, there's a rubber gasket behind that, but there's still humidity infiltration. It's a hole that leads right back to the main board. So this is actually an advantage of the fully articulating display, and how it's fed means it's actually a better weather-resistant camera than that of the X-T3 or any of Nikon or Sony. It's not simply a matter of Fujifilm. Those thin flexi cables that actually feed there always have a hole in the back of the magnesium chassis. X-T4 IBIS is 30% smaller and 20% lighter than that of the XH1. We also too now, of course, it's basically identical to a Nikon EN-EL15 battery, but we have incredible battery performance due to the much larger battery capacity. This is it. Of course, the vertical grip, just like the XH1 and the X-T3, takes two batteries, and of course there's a third one in the camera. So no one's going to be chirping about battery life anymore on the X-T4. I'm going to talk about the LCD. Oh yeah, very importantly, and I notice nobody else seems to talk about this, is that the LCD display on the X-T4, like that of the X Pro 3, whatever you think of the X Pro 3, the X Pro 3 has just an amazing, very buttery, high-resolution display that there's not a single person out there, no matter what sort of grouch or pickle that you are, is anything less than incredibly it's just very buttery and beautiful. I didn't think, there's nothing wrong with the X-T3 or the XH1, but it is really fantabulous. Yeah, I know that's not really a word, fantabulous. The LCD display on, and it's also too, of course, a touch LCD display. I also too love the fact, because me personally, I always preview my images through my EVF, and I actually like the fact that I could actually hold the camera like this out in the field or on the streets and not have to worry about pressing the I don't need this display sticking out. I don't. Most of the time I don't need it, so leaving it flipped in just like it does on my X Pro 3, this is me personally anyway. I actually prefer it like this. If I need it, I'll flip it out and flip the screen around and have it pointing out, but I actually love that feature about the fully articulating display on the X-T4. And I'm not thinking about what to say next year, but I'm, yeah, I went over that point. Yeah. See, I could edit this out, but you know I'm being real in this video, right? I went over all the main points to actually discuss over this, and because I'm extremely familiar with the X-T3 and X-H1, all of these cameras are mine. But what can we actually say about the X-T4? Because most of you have an X-T3. The X-T4 is, well, just think about it. You know, I don't like making, you know, nobody wants me to go down a spec sheet, which you can get off of like B&H Photo. You don't need that. You know, you want to know, like, what the hell is the camera? I don't need for this, you know, fat tattooed monkey to repeat spec sheets, you know, that I could find anywhere. And it's like, well, what is the X-T4? I mean, what the hell is it? What is this je ne sais quoi? You know, I can weigh a horse and say it's this tall and this long and it's a brown horse, and, you know, that doesn't tell you. It's like, what is it? What are its qualities? It's like, you know, what are the characteristics or the unique attributes of the camera? The X-T4 is like an X-T3 on steroids that had sex. The X-T3 had sex with the X-H1, and the Ergonomics came out exactly halfway between both of these cameras, and it got basically all of the wonderful features that everybody loves about the X-H1, except for one thing, and there's a leaf spring on the shutter release instead of a conventional. The shutter release on the X-T4 is like that of the X-T3. However, it is a little bit softer. But it didn't get the leaf spring shutter release, which a lot of people like. Some people don't like it because it's kind of squishy, but it's actually perfect because it doesn't actually cause that anticipation when you break over on the shutter release. But it was the perfect meld between both of these. And like I said, the wonderful thing, the 5-point spring suspension on the shutter mech, the IBIS has been greatly reduced in weight, is a hardcore sports action wildlife camera, a huge upgrade on the battery. Obviously so. Fully articulating screen. Whether you like it or hate it, tons of people ask for it, and it's there for a reason. The video features are greatly, greatly expanded. I love the fact that I could use this for a forward-facing LCD for selfie videos without a damn gimbal. Don't need a gimbal to just like walk around and make selfie videos using the incredible 6.5 stops of IBIS depending on the lens with the X-T4. That's wonderful. One thing I actually do use on this for selfie videos, you can't see it over here, it's actually a grip. It's a video grip, but I have it on, I got a couple of them over there, attaching to the base of the X-T4. That way I could actually hand hold it and have it pointing at me, because cradling the camera like that is not ideal, and the more contact points you have with your hand and your camera, the more shake there is, regardless of how great the IBIS is. So. Everybody should buy one of those, by the way. They're basically, type in video pistol grip on eBay. They're like 15 bucks, or just plastic, and they screw in the base there. Yeah, but the X-T4 is just a hardcore sports action upgrade with incredible video capabilities and all the wonderful features that people love about the X-H1 in that of the X-T4, which is, of course, and it does necessitatively have to be just a wee hair thicker for the inclusion of the IBIS mech in the X-T4, and also, too, for the inclusion of the much larger battery on the X-T4. So nobody's going to be complaining about battery life anymore. No one's going to be, you know, complaining about video. I can't even think of the most prissy video person that has emailed me that has an X-T4. It's like, you know, I wish it had this in video. There is one thing people talk about, there's no direct standard headphone monitoring jack for the camera only. There is if you get the vertical grip, and that, of course, is right here. But I give the camera a 10 out of, and I mean this specifically, and of course I put this in my Fujifilm book since I've already had this camera for well over a month, a different copy of this camera, one that I borrowed. You know, gave the camera a 10 over 10. The only thing that I don't like, I said, is that there's no charger in the camera, which is unfortunate because for several reasons. It's a new battery system, so you can't, like, well, if it doesn't include a charger, who gives a damn? I'll just use my X-H1 charger or my X-T3 charger. So that's unfortunate, and but I recommend everybody get the W235 dual battery charge, which I should have brought out here, that I have also, that lets you, because I don't actually believe, even though the camera comes with a little block charger, yeah, and a USB-C to USB-C cable, and you plug it in the side here for charging, right there, you're charging all the batteries across the main board, and I'm sorry, I can't agree with that for several reasons. I don't agree in passing a charge to charge a battery across the main board, and I know the protection circuitry that's in there, but power surges are power surges, and funky power sources in different countries hither and thither. I don't recommend anybody doing that. So the one thing that I do take a detraction from is that there's no external charger that lets you remove the battery. Also too, if you only have a few batteries, this means you can't use your damn camera and charge the batteries at the same time. And that's unfortunate. It's like, well, you want to use your camera? Nah, I can't use my camera. Why? Well, because my camera is also my charger. When you turn your camera into a charger, that means you can't use your camera. Unless you could take pictures like at the 1.5 foot, that's as long as the cable is, like 1.5 feet. So, I think Fujifilm should have charged like $5 more for the camera instead of making it $16.99. Make it $1,705, but just include the charger. That is a mistake for the empirical reasons that I just listed. Also, too, very importantly, for this same reason, X-T4, a lot of people told me, X-T4 is going to be my first Fujifilm camera because this is the camera that has everything in it. This is the bread and the butter, the alpha and the omega. And this is undeniably the most feature-rich, and I'm the person that has the $10,000 GFX 100, okay, and all the GFX cameras. This is the most feature-rich, do-it-all camera. This is Fujifilm's version of the Nikon D850. D850 is jack of all trades and master of all trades. This is Fujifilm's D850, if you will. It's a jack of all trades and the master of all trades. Of course, it still does a lot more than the D850, especially for video. Especially the fact that it has IBIS, especially the fact that it has great focus. Actually, Fujifilm, by the way, it's not my opinion, it's a fact, has the best focus peaking in the world, period. But a lot of people told me they were going to buy this camera as their first Fujifilm camera, and they would be disappointed for many empirical reasons because of the fact there's no charger included in the camera, and they have to buy the W235 charger. It's like, well, you can charge the batteries. If you buy, like, say, 4 backup batteries, you can charge it, but you have to put your camera out of commission while you're charging your batteries, and that is no bueno. As they say in Russian, это же плохо, or не хорошо. Or actually, they would say in Russian, they would say this. It would say жалко, ну жалко, ну жалко. That means it's a pity. And this new Fujifilm camera owner is her first Fujifilm camera. I think I've harped on that point enough. But I think that, actually I don't think so. I know that was a mistake. But hey, that's a charging mistake. It's like better, the lack of a charger than like an issue with the camera. The camera is a 10 out of 10. I stand by that as serious as a heart attack because the camera is a 10 out of 10. This camera is a dreamboat. It really is a dreamboat camera. The video people are really happy. Nobody is pissing or moaning about the video capabilities of this camera, and I don't even pretend to be a video guru. I absolutely don't. I know more than most do, but I'm not a video guru, and I don't even pretend to be one. For what this is, also to the 15 frames per second, oh Jesus Christ, you stick this in continuous high. The autofocus tracking, you need to know how to use this camera, which is why I wrote a free 230-page book on how to use your Fujifilm camera. The link is below. It's a free download. If you set everything correctly, the autofocus and the eye autofocus and face tracking, this camera is awesome. -6 EV low light autofocus performance, great. You almost could just turn off the feature for the autofocus assist lamp. So the X-T4 is awesome. It is all that in a bag of chips. It's good to have a downside of a camera only be the fact that it's lacking a charger, because that's not a camera issue. But I have to be fair. I'm not, some shill for Fujifilm. I love the hell out of Fujifilm for many, because I've had more cameras passed through my hands, and I love hating on stuff. Like, man, this camera over here, it sucks, and this is the reason why. I mean, it's good to, because the squeaky wheel gets the grease. I complained about the fact, like on the X-T3, I said, Fujifilm is a great camera. We need to note on the X-T2, excuse me, brain fart. On the X-T2, I complained about the fact that the diopter wheel was too easy in your camera bag or hanging off your side, too easy to the adapter wheel to be moved because it would move really easy. And now that Fujifilm and the X-T3 included the fact that you got to pull it out and turn it, just like that Nikon has on their Pro DSLR. So Fujifilm does listen. So that's it. That's the X-T4. I don't think this is a nutshell X-T4 video review, but I did sum up what it is. So I give it a 10 out of 10. It's the love child of the XH1 and the X-T3. Greatly improved battery performance. Super awesome. The battery display on the X-T4 is incredible, just like that on the X Pro 3. I think they're the exact same screen, of course. Better weather resistance because of the fact that it's a fully articulating screen and a design that feeds power and data to the LCD on a fully articulating screen. Awesome. There's no such thing as a perfect display. Doesn't exist, and you're never going to have it. It's physically impossible. So, oh my God, the quiet shutter. Oh man, I love how quiet the shutter. You stick it mechanical shutter. Oh my God. Whew. You thought the XH1 was good. It's like, oh my God, it's so quiet. Well, it's even better than that on the X-T4. So there we go. I hope you liked this final review of the X-T4. It's all that in a bag of chips. I wish Fujifilm included an external charger, but oh well. You just, when you buy your X-T4, get the dual battery W235 charger at the same time when you buy your X-T4. Maybe Fujifilm will bundle it together in some sort of future bundle package. The magic bundle. So all these camera companies do the magic bundle when these special sales come around every 6 months or whatever, which they all have that same thing. Fujifilm, Nikon, Canon, Sony, everybody does the same thing. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. That's my review of this super awesome camera. I am so happy. I sold off my X Pro 2 to get this one. I love the hell out of the X-T4. It's one beast. It's just a beast. It's awesome. And it is undeniably so, not my opinion, the most feature-rich camera that Fujifilm has ever made. Period. Flat out. Bar none. Period. Okay. Have a great day. Wait for it. Wait for it. Fujifilm.